Hey everybody, it's Mary and it's so right. And today I'm going to be talking about using a foot that's called the Spanish Hemstitch Foot. What does that mean? Well, you'll see when I start going. And I am working on the Husqvarna Viking on the Opal 690. And this is the package for the Spanish Hemstitch Foot. And this happens to be mine. So here is the foot with an attachment that goes on the plate of the machine, which is going to help us guide the fabric. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this piece on first. And in your on your stitch plate, you have these two holes. And I'm going to take this piece and make sure you have this piece facing the rear, not this way. This way would be wrong. You want it facing the rear. Ask me how I figured that out, because I didn't pay attention to the instructions on the packaging. Because on the packaging, it showed it clearly that the piece is going to the rear. So now that I put this piece on, I'm going to put the foot on. This goes on just like any other presser foot they have. Now what this does is, you can take two pieces. Say you have a fabric that doesn't ravel, you could use that. Or in this case, I took a piece, I folded it in half so I have a fold. And I did press it. I do recommend that you press it. Now I'm gonna see how I put this situated, and it's a gap. So it's gonna join these two pieces together. And you have the ability to pick a few decorative stitches that will work well. And again, on my instructions from the package, it does say to put it at 5.0 millimeters. That really makes a difference, because like I said, I didn't pay attention in the beginning and I had it at 7 millimeters and it wasn't coming out so well because it was pulling in the edges. So make sure you put it at 5.0 for whichever stitch you pick. So here, I've put my two pieces together. And I'm going to put my foot down, and that'll hold it in place for the moment. Now I'm going to come over to my screen. And I can pick a stitch that I know will work well, because I experimented with a few. So right here in the menu 2, I came over to this stitch, number 25. So then on my screen here, I'm going to go to my menu selection. I went to menu 2 and just type in number 25. On many of the Viking computerized machines, you're going to find that stitch. So as long as you see this look, it might not be the same number, but you might find it in one of your menus. And that's going to work just nicely because I already tried it. So now that I did that, I'm going to start stitching. And I do have a contrasting color thread. You could use the same color, but you know, this stitch is made to make an accent. So in my thoughts, I'm thinking it needs a prettier color to blend with the fabric. So I have pink, hot pink on pink. Oh goodness, I got it. Okay, there we go. All right. So now it does stitch in the center between the two layers now and then. Don't worry about that. I'm going to trim my tails, and now I'm going to continue. And make sure you keep your two pieces butted up against that guide. Oh, let me make another note to you. Earlier when I was trying to stitch out, it wasn't moving quite as nice. You have to realize there is a gap in the middle and it could shift. I went into my settings on the screen. So I went into the settings, and right there is foot pressure. So go to foot pressure and minus it. I went down a little bit so that all of a sudden it was moving a lot easier. So I'm going to go back up 1 and leave it at that and say okay. Go out of my settings. So you might find that you have to do that, but then again, I always say test on, oh, here again. There it is. I'm at 7 millimeters. Forgot to change it, so I'm going to bring that down to 5.0 like the package recommended. I'm just stepping back a moment. I'm going back to the settings. And when I did go to foot pressure, I went to 4.0. It really is going to factor in on the fabric that you're using and how it's feeding. So 4.0 is not going to hold true to every fabric. It's up to you to test your scraps. Always use the scrap of the project that you're working on to see how you have to adjust your machine for that fabric. But that's what I had brought it to, was 4.0. And now my fabric will move a little bit easier. So now I'm just going to continue. I'm going to keep stitching. And remember to bring that stitch width down to the 5.0. It really makes a difference. So I'm going to stop with that stitch. I'm going to pick another stitch and let's see how it works. I'm going to go to a stitch like this one here. In menu 2, it's stitch number 27. Oh no, you know what? 28 looks more interesting. I'm going to try 28. So I'm going to come back to my menu selection, and I'm still in menu 2, and I'm going to go to stitch 28 and say okay. It does say that you should be using stabilizer for all of the things with the Spanish Hemstitch Foot. It's really not easy to do that. Oh, and I'm going to change my stitch width down to 5.0. Stabilizer, you really can't use it because then it would be showing underneath here, and it's really hard to pull it out of that. So you're just going to have to keep it steady, and like I said, press your fabrics. If you have a product like what's called Terrell Magic, I recommend that it's starch. Spray it on your fabrics and make it a little bit stiffer, and then you'll have even better results, and it'll be easier to control it. So here I go. I'm using a different stitch now than I used before. And then after this one's done, I'm going to show you something else. Okay, let's cut. Let's see our results. What do we got here? Look at this one. Oh, is that pretty? Here, I'm going to put it down on the black fabric so you could see it nicely. Look at this. Over here, I'm going to point this out right now. If you notice how big the stitch went in, that was the 7 millimeters. And then I remembered to bring it down to 5. Look at the better results. Much better. And here we go with this stitch. Up here, I did take a few stitches at 7 millimeters, and then I remembered to bring it down to the 5. So we have that stitch. All right. So there's so many stitches that I could play all day long, like I always tell you in my other videos. But now let's going to do the same thing again. I'm going to go back to the first stitch. I think that one was really good. Stitch 25. Okay. And then with this guide that we put on the stitch plate that we used earlier, we're going to use the same guide, but it gives me the opportunity to place a cord inside here. And I've talked about this yarn before. I love this yarn. It's called Spangle yarn. I love sparkle. So I put that in there. I'm going to do the same stitch as I did the first time. And here I go. Let's see. Come on down in there. Get in that groove. Okay. Let's take a look at that. Wow, is that interesting? I love this stuff. Here, I'm going to put it on the black fabric. Maybe it shows up a little. And I'm going to hold it up in the air more because then you could see the light coming through. Isn't that beautiful? Hope you enjoy embellishing, and I do too. So have a good time, but please experiment, and always when you're going to do it, take the same fabric of what you're going to do it on, because you could use a different fabric and get different results. And remember, you might have to change your foot pressure, but bring down that stitch width to the 5.0. So have a good time, and I'll see you again. Bye.